All right. So there's a quote I love, and I'm going to tie this together in a moment. Give me a little grace. There's a quote I love by an author named James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits.
Yeah. Okay. Very powerful book. So I hear.
Yes. You haven't read it. I have a couple times.
I've read clips and I've read the synopsis of the book. Yeah.
Which I think, so.
It's very powerful. Habits. I already know it's a home run book because it's habits, good habits.
And so as part of discipleship, as part of growing healthy lives, it's about the habits that we create. So that's where I'm going to head with this. Okay. So
we're talking about GHL discipleship.
We are.
All right.
And from all the way from level 1. Yeah. Right. And so one of the things that came out of Atomic Habits that I was able to apply when I started GHL was this quote that says, you don't rise to the level of your goal, you fall to the level of your systems or habits. Mm-hmm. And so as it relates to being a follower of Jesus, being a disciple, like calling myself that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you loose because I think that quote, like, I know you believe in that, whether you've heard that quote or used it before or not, but it's about our habits. We all have, whether it's a New Year's resolution in January that falls flat or just goals that we set throughout the year. There's goals, but ultimately the goal is great, but the habit, the system that you have really defines your success.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I want to be a disciple, how do I approach that? What are some habits I need?
Yeah. So my brain's firing off in all these different directions, as you know how I think. I'm like, okay, how do we streamline this? So here we go. First is how to set a habit. Unfortunately, a lot of people, there's aspirational goals and there's actual goals. And a lot of people aspire to lose weight at the beginning of the year. They aspire to maybe quit smoking. They aspire to stop cussing. They aspire to do something different, to cut something out, or to start going to the gym and start doing these things. And so there's aspirational values, but then there's the actual value where you actually force yourself to get up and do the thing that you aspire to want to do. And a lot of times that doesn't come until you first receive bad news. It's too late. Things are about ready to change. And then suddenly we take our aspirational values and we turn them into actual values. And so when we can say, I'm going to go beyond it, my body, and now I'm thinking about the whole brain thing, because obviously, in level 1, we rewire the brain. Part of my doctorate degree is neuroscience. And so how to rewire the brain onto godliness. And usually, the first few weeks, there's a excitement to do something new. And it's awesome to do something new because you're getting new information and there's a lot of motivation.
Sure.
But then when you hit that phase 2 of the rewiring of the brain, you got to force yourself to do it, even when your body's saying, let's put on the brakes, because your brain is literally attributing value to the new thing that you have implemented and saying, I don't know if it's worth all the work putting it in. Mm-hmm. But if you keep pushing forward in those habits, your brain and the dopamine that's created, even in phase 2 of the rewiring process, will lead to ultimately that phase 3 where you're hardwired. So now, Ingrid, I say this with discipleship, nobody gets up and says, I wonder if I'll brush my teeth today.
Right.
Because it's a no-brainer.
Right.
So they have the habit of brushing their teeth. And if you don't, go see your dentist, but you'll get rebuked pretty quick. But if you're doing those same things over and over and over again, we tell our kids, did you brush your teeth?
Right.
Well, they're not in the habit of brushing their teeth. So you got to remind them over and over and over and over and over again, because they are just not in the habit of doing it. But now, as an adult, you do it and you don't think about it. It's part of your morning routine. And so
I miss it when I don't.
Yeah.
So
you start feeling it.
That's right. Like, I didn't. Like, I know when I didn't do it.
A little of that tartar buildup, you start feeling it. But interestingly enough, our kids don't feel it.
No, they don't. So I spent a lot of my earlier years in fitness. And the way that I would liken what you're saying is people have always talked to me about, like, they want new fitness goals. They want to get fit. And I would say, which is like the layman's way of saying what you just said, like, initially you've got to sign up to do it. Like, I have to do that.
Yeah.
But I've watched so many people that continue to come, and then it turns into I have to do it to I get to do it.
Yes.
Because there's an intrinsic part of this where I feel better and I know I feel better.
Yes.
So now I won't stop doing it.
Yeah, just like
Is that what you find in discipleship as well?
It's the same thing with discipleship. It's the same thing with any habit.
Yeah.
Any habit. You have the habit of brushing your teeth. And if you go a long day and you haven't brushed your teeth, I can't believe I'm talking about this on the podcast, brushing teeth here. But if you go a long day and say you're on an airplane, you start feeling like, I need to. And then when you put the toothbrush in your mouth, you say, I get to brush my teeth because I've been missing this. And so it's the same thing with going to the gym. You get to this place where you're like, I get to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And so, like I'm big proponent with working out, big proponent with brushing your teeth too. I think you should brush your teeth and go to the gym.
and read
or at
the
least
word.
Exercise.
And read the word. Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, so much of what we do in the first levels and then continuing on is building what you call spiritual disciplines.
Disciplines.
But it's really the habits around walking with Jesus, being a disciple, right?
Yeah. Spiritual disciplines are habits. And unfortunately, a lot of people haven't gotten into the spiritual habits of spending time with Jesus. They'll practice spiritual disciplines every once in a while, but the discipline hasn't become a habit. And when they open up the word and they spend time with Jesus, they do feel the reward of drawing close to God and there's a dopamine release there, spending time with the Lord. You feel great.
Yeah.
But just like going to the gym, maybe initially it doesn't feel good. There's days where you're just tired and you don't want to do it. But if you continually do it, when you leave the gym, you feel great. It's the same thing with drawing close to God. Yeah. So I think spiritual disciplines are great, but they need to become spiritual habits. And that's what we do in discipleship. We take the discipline of spending time with God and we turn it into what we would call an atomic habit. And in the process, we rewire the brain.
I love it. And I know that habit building is and you've said it, it's not easy.
It's easy only for the first week.
And then you're right, the challenge comes, and I think the desire to just kind of go back to what it was. Do I really need to? There's so many different ways that your brain and the enemy, I think, especially if we're talking about pursuing Jesus, it's not just how our brain works. There's an enemy too.
There's a real enemy, and most of the time that enemy is our flesh. That we would like to blame the devil on. And there is a spiritual battle for sure. But a lot of the times it's our fleshly habits that the enemy uses. And then ultimately he comes on the back end with guilt and shame and condemnation and negativity and limited beliefs. And those things keep people moving backwards, not forward.
Love it.
Call it backsliding. But we need to start doing front sliding.
Yeah. Well, there's no such thing as neutral, is there?
Oh, man. Yeah, no, you're either moving forward or you're moving backward. Heard this thing, I think it was with John Maxwell. He says, you're either pushing this boulder up the hill or you are moving, sliding back down. And if you go into this neutral thing, you're automatically going to drift back down.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes you a couple days to actually start moving back forward up.
So true, because
there's always a mountain to climb.
There's always a mountain to climb, and no one, like, it takes intentionality to draw closer to Jesus. You don't drift closer to Jesus.
Yeah, you don't just automatically, voila, I got all these spiritual disciplines into habits. It just I just walked into it. No, there's intentionality, there's planning. And again, it's taking that aspirational value of everybody wants to draw closer to God. But how do you actually do it? It takes intentionality. And another key thing, which is so critical to our discipleship process, is accountability. So intentionality meeting accountability, that's where results begin to take place.
I love it. And my encouragement is I just really believe that momentum builds momentum. So I do believe, and I'd love your thoughts on this, when it's related to fitness even, I believe that starting small. And I think it's in Ecclesiastes, where it says, like, don't despise the small beginnings. And so if there's a small beginning, if there's a small habit, meaning you don't have to go, I don't ask people to go to the gym for an hour right away. I say, go to the gym for 15 or 20 minutes. Start small, build the habit.
Yeah.
How would you do that?
I would say call it baby steps.
Okay. I like that.
So we'll take Dave Ramsey. He has these baby steps of getting out of debt. I would say it's still the baby steps of spending time with Jesus, doing spiritual disciplines. We have to know what some of those spiritual disciplines are, right? One of them is just literally opening up the Bible and you start taking a passage and you read it. We teach people in discipleship how to journal a passage, and we even teach the guys how to journal. You're not a wimp. You're not a weirdo for journaling. Journaling's not a diary. Journaling is actually you engaging God with the passage that you're reading. A life of prayer, how to pray. We talk about that in discipleship. How to sensitize yourself to his presence. We talk about that in discipleship. How to serve in your local congregation. That's another discipline. There's a variety of different disciplines, but we, just like going to the gym, you got to learn the equipment.
Yeah.
Same thing with spiritual disciplines. You got to learn how to do them, and then you need to make them a habit, and that habit requires intentionality, and a lot of times it requires accountability.
Yeah.
That way you can stay in that habit. Iron sharpening iron keeps us sharp.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I think it makes sense for us to look at maybe one of the next episodes and really diving deep into some of these spiritual disciplines and maybe explaining, like, how do we journal? What is the process of journaling for anyone that maybe wants to pick that up? Or my favorite discipline by far. They're all great, but the one that stuck with me and I think was the best toolbox, like the best weapon that I had, was a power prayer.
Oh, power prayers. Yeah.
And so I think it makes sense maybe on one of our future episodes to really dive deep into some of these disciplines and give them to folks so that they can explore them themselves, because you don't always know, like, where do I start reading the Bible? And so let's finish with that.
Yeah.
If someone wants to start reading the Bible, where do you want them to go?
Just go to the first book in the New Testament, the book of Matthew. Some people would say the book of John, because it's a little bit easier to digest. But just start in the New Testament. Start reading everything about Jesus. And obviously, Jesus is the one who fulfilled the Old Testament. So I would say, maybe a proverb a day. Yeah. We're gaining wisdom. So there's 31 proverbs. Just pick the day of the month, and whatever day it is, read that proverb. That way you get some wisdom in your life and get some familiarity with what Jesus did, maybe his teaching. So I would start. That's where I would initially start.
I love it. All right. Thanks, Billy. This was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you guys want to know more about growing healthy lives and our discipleship process here at Radiant Church in Orangevale, California, we do train and teach people how to engage God in these spiritual disciplines and how to form godly habits in your life. So check us out. We're in the Sacramento area, and I would love to have you here. Thank you, Ingrid, for today.
Thanks, Billy.